I don't know quite how we're going to classify this bowler, Sir Leary.
He's
Little
an
floaters.
off-break bowler, but he has it so well in the palm of his hands. That one came back from the offside.
Yes. $124 for 4. 124 for 97 wanted. 17 overs to go. So that's a rate of fractionally under 6 for the rest of the time.
While John Mortimer Sr. bats, his small son Brian is watching the cricket with me. Do you play cricket yourself, Brian?
Yes.
Do you? Where do you practice? In the garden at home?
Yeah. Sometimes we go to the field. And I hit good ones straight over to Mrs. Trevor's.
Do you? Is that the lady who lives next door?
Yeah.
Can we see what your daddy's doing now? Look, we can see him on this picture here. What are you going to be when you grow up, a batsman or a bowler?
All the things Daddy is.
All the things your daddy is. Well, they tell me he's a very good cricketer. Is he a good cricketer?
I think so.
You think so? Well, look, now you can see him. Look, in this little television set we've got here.
There, right up there.
Let's see what he does with this one. Is that a good shot, do you think?
Yeah.
He seems fairly happy about it, doesn't he? What's the biggest score he's ever made, do you know? There you are.
Did he hit it?
He did hit that one, yes, but somebody's fielded it, I'm afraid. Does he hit many big scores?
Don't know.
You don't know. Do you go and watch him playing cricket very often?
Yes.
Where to? Cheltenham?
Yeah.
Are you going to Cheltenham with him next month? That's a very big hit.
Where?
See it over there? 4 runs.
It went over the line, so it's 4 runs. Or if it bounced over, it would be 6.
Yes, well, it didn't quite bounce over. It just fell short of the line, I think. How old are you now, then?
6.
And when do you think you're going to start playing cricket? Properly. Do you play at school? You don't?
I'm trying to bring it to school, Mummy won't let me.
She won't let you take your bat to school. You've got a bat, have you?
Yeah, it's a real one.
Big one?
Size 4.
Size 4. Fine, well, I think we'd better let Mr. Arlott get on with his commentary, don't you? Thank you very much for talking to me.
Must be terrifying to be watched by an audience like that, mustn't it? Saeed then to young Richards. Bob White's come up closer. Short third man, so the single isn't on there anymore. Two strokes and they were both too late.
That came back a lot, John. And quicker than he expected.
Yes, they tried to play a second stroke to it. 18, Mortimore. Bowled Saeed, 18. And that, I feel, could have been the crucial dismissal. Here's the second of these two young South Africans, Mike Proctor.
Now Barry Richards is joined by...
He has 88 to get. These two ought to score 40 or 50 and quickly if Gloucester are to stay in with a chance. Jim Laker bowling his 8th over now. This is Proctor then. We saw bowl earlier, the other South African. I wonder what it must feel like for these two lads to be batting against the man they must so often have read about. One, 3, 4 for 5, 27 overs. Falling back now, below 5. Laker's only got one more over after this. He can bring the pace bowlers back, of course. Well, that was a very pleasant stroke. Richards, Barry Richards the name. I should think you'll hear about him again. Checked his stroke well there, wasn't quite to it. That's Bob White of Middlesex fielding out there. .76 wanted then. 76 wanted off 12 overs. So the rate now is a little over 5 runs an over. 76 off 12 overs. They've got to strike at more than 6 runs an over. Laker about to start his last over, and I should think they've got to strike him to keep up with the clock. Deep mid-on and mid-off, inhibiting them. There, White's underneath it. He's caught it. A very nicely judged catch. So that's Richards, caught white, bowled Laker, 30. As I say, I think you'll hear more about him.
Barry, would you mind telling me how things are going? We've got our camera around here, if you could look into it and come and stand by me. Is the wicket pretty placid now? Because you seem to be going reasonably well there.
Yes, it's still a bit slow, that roof, compared to what I'm used to. It'll take a bit of getting used to.
Do you think we're going to get these runs now?
Well, could do if Mike and Tony Brown get going. We could get the runs quite easily.
And what about the pacemen? There are one or two overs still left from them, aren't
Yes,
they?
there probably will be, yeah. That might slow it down a bit. I still think we're in with a chance.
Good, well, we'll see now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Well, that was a little nerve-wrackingly close. Just out of Walker's reach. Proctor, this doesn't look quite so commanding a bat as Richards, but you can't always tell in this short time. But at the end of this over, I'd like to ask Sir Leary what he thought of Richards. The last ball Laker was allowed. So now he's bowled 9 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 42. Well, couldn't say that he bowled defensively, spin, length, line, light.
Jim Laker's 9 overs. Taken 1 for 43.
I bet he wishes always played cricket when he was only allowed 9 overs. Would have saved that finger of his a lot of agony. But let's go back, Leary. What about this Barry Richards boy? What do you think of him?
Oh yes, I like his footwork. He moves to the ball. He moves well to the ball. He drives it well. He's over it. And I'm quite sure you're right when you say there's a future for him. I would have liked to see him how he played the pace, but he played the spinners quite well.
And when one of those spinners is Jim Laker, that makes him fairly good for a teenager, wouldn't you think?
I'm certain it does. And he moved down the line so well to Saeed, and he was driving the off break to extra cover, which meant he was well behind the line.
Saeed then to Tony Brown. A very strong young man, this, when he lays back to ball, some power behind it. Lost in admiration of his own stroke.
And it was a good stroke too.
It was a very nice stroke, but Dick should have admired it after it finished running. $153 for 6 then, 68 wanted in 10 overs. Time running out a little. Now Eric Russell's going to bowl.
The new bowler from the pavilion end is Eric Russell of Middlesex.
That was a chance. Not a good enough ball to earn a wicket, but it was a chance. A very fair piece of fielding by the skipper, Jim Laker. That, he thinks, is not so difficult, so the younger man can have it. Russell, little seamers and an occasional off-cutter. And that one did come back. .67 wanted, 9 overs left. And still Saeed. Bowl to Mike Proctor. He's not too happy with him. He makes this off spinner of his wobble just a little in the air to it. It does a little bit away from the bat through the air. That one, however, came back quite sharply, and of course he's not a slow bowler, he's a slow medium. It's a rather unusual action. Hand action, that is. A good piece of fielding by Ken Palmer. Would you say, Sir Leary, that he might be a matting wicket bowler, might have learnt on the mat?
He may have done, although I think they finished with the matting wicket by the time he came into cricket. But I don't understand why he holds the ball so far down in his hand, which means that he will be lacking a pace off the pitch when he gets a spin. But nevertheless, you have to get used to that. You see, that ball was not quick off.
No. Gets a bit of spin pace, but not nip.
Not nip. No nip at all.
That got a bit of pace off the bat.
Yes, yes, just as it ought to be.
.61 wanted, 8 overs left. Very little elbow room left, and I think Tony Brown feeling that he's got to play an innings, he's got to play a 30 or 40. We may see him open out a bit now, but the two fast bowlers could come back.
I'm afraid he can't avoid that. He can't afford that luxury of leaving a ball alone.
Can't, not when it's a straight one. I mean, not when it doesn't turn. I think he was more or less waiting for that to turn into him, wasn't he?
Yes. You got to take a chance at it now. How many 60-odd runs needed?
Yes, 60 exactly. Oh, no, can't do it. It means there'll be 7 overs they'll want, over 8 runs and over. Only 2 runs off 2 overs of Russell, and this has changed the scoring picture completely. 161 for 6, you see. 161 for 6. 7 overs to go, 60 runs wanted. That's very nearly 9 runs and over now. So someone has got to let go. Saeed still bowling to Tony Brown. There are 2 men out there on the leg side boundary, one at rather wide long on, one just fine of square. That's straight to the wide long on. Graham Atkinson. It's over the top. Well, it has. It's carried for 4. 40 young Proctor. He does it again. They're only just maintaining pace. Still only 1 maiden has been bowled, and if we go back, I think we've got to say that it was this tight opening spell of those 6 overs for 17 runs that put Gloucester onto the back foot. There's a fieldsman there again. With this 8, 9 runs and over, very hard to get. 7 off the over and it wasn't enough. A boundary and 3 singles. "34 overs bowled now, so there's 6 overs left. Mathematics never was my strong point. 53 wanted. I can do that. It's 8 5/6. That's 4. That perhaps makes life a trifle easier. Though there are 4 men on the onside, saving the 1, and nicely stationed for catches off the pulled drive. Not if it's as high as that, though. Both those hit off a length and off the line of the stumps. That was very nearly through. A 4 now, and they'd be just pulling ahead of the average they needed. There it is. Now that's 12 off this over, and there's something like breathing space. I say, he's a nice measured hitter, this boy. White can't get under this one, I don't think. No, that's gone. That's 6. "18 off the over, and that's changed the complexion of things entirely. 18 off that over by Tony Brown. So now they want 35 off 5 overs. You see, it's 186 for 6. 35 overs bowled. They've got to go all the way down now. 35 runs wanted, 5 overs to go. That's 7 runs and over. 5 overs to go, 35 to win. And now battle is joined once more. Laker has got these, let me see, what is it? 7 overs of the seam bowlers. He can have 3 of White and 4 of Palmer. He doesn't need that, of course. He's only got 5 to go. And keep the seamers on now to the end. And it's Palmer who comes back then to bowl against Proctor. And the stopper's gone in the bottle now. But Gloucester have got 4 wickets to play with. So they take the chance of getting 35 runs off 5 overs. This boy's not in English conditions. He's not an easy bowler to play. He has a little bit of movement off the pitch. The ball's never quite up to you to drive. You do a bit through the air. He's fairly nippy. You see how beautifully straight his arm is as it comes over. That moved in. Did well to take 1 off that. Wasn't a bad ball. And in an ordinary county game, the batsman would have been content to stop that one. Oh, what a good shot. What a good shot. Didn't you think, Leary?
Yes. Straight off his toes. Beautiful shot.
Now that was enough to keep most people quiet. It moved in onto the line of the leg stump. .191 for 6, 30 wanted. Oh, and one, that's another good one. If White's covered that one. Done a fair bit of work down there this afternoon. 2 runs for that. 7 off the over, just up to schedule. They'd be ahead of it if they play a scoring stroke off this ball. And what a pleasant one, what a lovely cover drive. It's for, as I think I told you earlier on, they said when Tony Brown came to Gloucestershire as a boy, he might make another Wally Hammond. That was fairly ambitious, but you could see in that cover drive something of the touch of the master that I think Tony never watched. 197 for 6. So that's 24 to get. 24 to get, 4 overs to get them. 24 wanted to win, 4 overs to go. And here's the other pace bowler on. It's got to be 6 runs and over, and David White's come back. Now Laker's kept these up his sleeve in masterly fashion. Now he can fight it down to the last. Now it's young Proctor once more and David White to bowl to him. .198. 20 to Proctor. Tony Brown now has got 33. I wouldn't know about these things, but one county cricketer's wife assures me that Tony Brown has got the nicest eyes of any professional cricketer. Whether this counts for anything or not, I don't know. Eyes, usually, county cricketers regard as assets for seeing cricket balls. Young Proctor playing very coolly at this juncture. The 200, 20 wanted, and we've got 3 and a bit overs to go, and these runs, my goodness, have come even 95 minutes. They've come even faster than the Cavaliers after being shut up at the start. We're a fraction behind now. They want a scoring stroke here. On the other hand, it may be that Proctor's content to leave the strike with Tony Brown. Yes, he is. Right, 20 wanted, 3 overs to go. That's a little faster rate. It was 6, you see, to the over. It's a fraction more now. 201 for 6. Tony Brown 35, Mike Proctor 21.
If you would like to see an element of this sort of spirit in county cricket. Prevailing
Oh, yes, I see a certain amount of county cricket. Not as much as I'd like to see.
What a lovely on drive. Well, what do you think of this for a county bowler, Leary?
Well, it's beautiful, and I remember Palmer remembers last week the winning stroke was made off him. so he's got to watch this week.
205 for 6, 16 wanted. He's done it again. Seven fours and a 6 he's hit. A nice study in expression, these chaps. There's a bit of determination here. This is no little frolic. Now it's dropped short of third man. All but a catch to cover. All but, or to extra cover rather. 9 runs to get now, and this is the first time since the game started that Gloucester have looked to be in a winning position. They want 9 runs, 2 overs and 1 ball to go. But the pace bowler's still on. It's a streaky one, but it counts runs, 2 runs. 7 wanted, 7 wanted, 2 overs to go, and they've got 4 wickets to play with.
Well, quite a situation. Well, as well as the series awards, the fastest 50 in this series, we also have a man of the match award made by Rothmans of 20 guineas and a silver medallion. Mr. George Hendon alongside me here is a gentleman from the panel of 6 who's making up his mind who it will go to today. What sort of deliberations are you making at the moment?
Well,
Between whom? Very briefly.
There are so many people, frankly, who really qualify, and Brown, right at this moment with 44 not out, and also taking 3 wickets in the for the Cavaliers. Against the Cavaliers, he must be a leading contender, I believe.
And on my other hand, the Duke of Beaufort, who will make the presentation. Are you enjoying this game, sir?
Very much indeed. We've seen some very good cricket.
You'd like to see an element of this game in the county game, would you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm all for free cricket.
Good, well, the game is boiling up. Let us go back and see if Gloucestershire can make the few runs now needed.
Only 3 wanted now. My goodness, Tony Brown's earned the right to make the winning stroke. "28 off 9 consecutive balls, Tony Brown. It looks as if that has swung the game. Though he's not going to get much given away. That's it. That's it. That's the 4 runs. Tony Brown, 48. Earned a 50 for that. And anybody who thinks these chaps weren't trying should have seen the faces of the players. White, Palmer the bowlers, and Brown the batsman. Cavaliers by 4 wickets. Sorry, Gloucestershire won by 4 wickets. Well, there's no doubt the lads like it. There's no doubt to my mind the players take it seriously and like it too. Somebody's filtered the little boys off very nicely indeed. Except that one with the glasses there, who hopes his mum's watching. There he's waving to her. They're just waiting for the selection of the man of the match and the presentation to him, which will be made by the Duke of Beaufort. Man of the match, I wonder who. I would have thought Tony Brown with 3 wickets in that innings. Walker, 3 wickets. Jim Laker for bowling like an old master.
Well, the deliberations are going on here on my right to decide who is to get this Man of the Match award. Mr. Hendon, have you finally made up your mind?
Yes, we did, and I'm glad to say it was a unanimous decision, and it's Brown of Gloucester.
Could I ask Your Grace to present the Man of the Match award to Mr. Brown of Gloucester?
See those eyes? Nothing, I think, could have been more just than that. And for those who think that this is just a fun fight affair, I can commend the sight of Tony Brown's face and the set of his jaw, and of Ken Palmer's when he was bowling to him. There was no doubt that they were playing this to win. Not for bonus, discipline, points, but just for the sake of winning a game of cricket. And I think it couldn't have been much better handled. Well, now, if we look at the scorecard, Cavaliers, who batted first, that very fluent start by Russell, some useful runs by Brearley, pleasant ones by Livingston, Walker, some strong hitting, and Saeed too. And then at the end, that violent 53 by David White, 53 in 21 minutes. 220 for 9 of 40 overs was a rate of 5.5 an over and very fair going, with some good early bowling by Brown and some good spin from Bissix. 220 for 9, and then here's the Gloucester score, and as you can see they were in a fair bit of trouble. Let's have a look first of all then at the Gloucester bowling. Brown to those 3 useful early wickets. Allen, Bissix, slow left arm. Mortimore, who came in for a little bit of punishment, but they shared the bowling out well, and the spinners kept it fairly tight. The crowd just ebbing away, and now let's look at the Gloucester scorecard. Nichols, of course, the sheet anchor early on. He paced the game nicely, I thought, played himself in, took a lot off the shoulders of the later batsmen by coping with Palmer and White through that opening burst after Russell had gone. Bissix with those pleasant strokes, and Shepherd trying to force the pace, but still, of course, they were in trouble at 88 for 3 and behind the clock. Then this boy Richards, Barry Richards, the South African, with his bright 30, Mortimore's 18, and then the second South African, Proctor, a not very easy start. In fact, he looked quite uneasy. And then Tony Brown, without losing his nerve, taking it very coolly and running the timing, one thought desperately close as he played himself in, and then looking for the ball to hit, and then conclusively forcing the pace against the two faster bowlers who'd been saved to the end. Well, look at the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers bowling. White had 7 overs and 3 balls, 1 for 25. Palmer none for 43 off 7 overs. Walker 6 overs, 3 for 52. Laker his full 9 overs, 1 for 43, and what a little object lesson that was for any young spin bowler in the ground. And Saeed 6 overs, 1 for 34. Russell 3 overs, none for 20. 2 off his first 2 overs and then 18 off the third. A very fine piece of timing that to give Gloucester a win by 4 wickets. But still, the main awards remain unchanged. Still, the fastest 50 is that of Jim Parks in 16 minutes, because David White's took 21. There was a time when he was only 6 short of it with 2 minutes to spare. The best bowling is still Tom Cartwright's 3 for 24, and the most catches Headley and Peter Walker, but in a preceding match, 2 each. And the wicket-keeper hasn't really yet entered. Brearley had a stumping, of course, in this Gloucester innings. So then, another very close finish. This limitation of the bowling and the balance of selection means that slow bowlers must be used, and when the batsmen are willing to strike them, we're always liable to find this change in the timing. But most of us, when we came down this morning through a grey sludge, thought we'd be lucky if we saw a ball bowled at all. And now, just as the game's over, rain starting to fall again. But now, how about your feelings about today, Sir Leary?
It has been another great cricket match, with everybody making an effort to have an interesting finish, and it was an interesting finish. Unfortunately, the Cavaliers have not yet won a match, and I like to think of what Palmer is thinking of. He bowled the last ball of the match last week when they made a 4 to win, and he bowled the ball when they made a 4 to win today. And I am sure that next time we see Palmer on the field, he'd say, "Not on your life." Nevertheless, it's been a great cricket match, a lot of fun, and quite a good crowd, almost as many as those who watched New Zealand against Gloucester here on the last day. And I think it augurs well for the future of cricket.
That's it then. I think there's a pretty general consensus of opinion that it was good fun. It was the first of these games that I've seen. It certainly won't be the last. I'm sure everybody here enjoyed it. Next week, the Cavaliers play a Surrey 11 at Beddington Park. And if it's as good a game as this one, it won't be at all bad fun. And just if you're in any doubt, see one of the players and ask them how much they enjoy it. They've got to enjoy it to play on the 7th day of the week, you know.